Shabbat Shalom. This week's Haftarah is for the Parashat of Chayei Sarah, or the life of Sarah, our mother, married to Abraham. So, the men of the Great Assembly said, let's pick a Haftarah that is thematically connected. And there are many connections, but one in particular is how King David's life, like Sarah's life, is coming to an end. It uses the same languaging in Hebrew. So here you have David, who lived about 70 years, and he's the king of Israel. He founded Jerusalem as the capital, and the first thing is that he's maxed out as the number of wives a king can have. He's allowed to have 18 wives. He's about 70 years old. He's led a bloody, war-filled life, and he is tired, long-term tired, and he is old. As a matter of fact, his bones are cold. Some say because of an event that happened with his father-in-law, the former King Shaul, that he showed disrespect for the king and he cut the corner of his clothing. And measure for measure, that because he showed disrespect, the clothing never kept him warm anymore. Side note. The important point is that they have a beauty contest, because a beautiful woman, to this man David, who loved women, she would warm him up just from looking at him and get his blood pumping, get his heart pumping, get him excited. So here you have this woman named Abishag, Hashunamit. You heard of Shunamit last week from the miracle of Elisha. So now you have another woman that she lived maybe 100 years earlier. And she's the most beautiful girl in the land. And she comes to King David's palace that they're excavating now in Ir David. And she keeps him warm. First part. Second part, that one of David's sons, named Adoniah, Adoni, my master, is Yah, is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And his mother was called Chagit. Maybe she was born on a Chag, or a holiday, or it's the parents' Chag to have a child like this. It's a parents' holiday. And he decides, I'm going to be king! And he goes marching off with many people to this place called Ein Rogel, with the Even HaZochelet. If you look at this text, it's very obscure. What was the Even HaZochelet? It was a creeping stone. And Ein Rogel is where this running water would go. Well, what happened is that in the day, they would go to wash their laundry. The girls would go down to wash their laundry, and they pull up their skirts a little bit and scrub on the rocks by the water over there. This is just south of the Temple Mount and the city of David. It's just down that ways. And it seems that the boys would come there to sort of get a peek at these pretty girls and their exposed limbs. And that this Even HaZochelet, this creeping stone, if you read the Abarbanel, one of the commentaries, it says that the boys would try to show off in front of the girls how macho they were. So they try to push this stone a little bit, and all it could do is creep along. So that was called the Even HaZochelet. To me, it resonates with what human beings, things that never change, that the boys and girls would go to hang out together and try to, get a peek and try to push the rocks to show how strong they were. Moving onward. You have Nasan, Hanavi, was a prophet. He was King David's advisor. And he goes running into Bathsheba in Ir David, in the city of David. And he says, what's going on? Adoniah, he's not supposed to be the king. He's self-coronating himself. This is not okay. We have to go speak to King David. We have to straighten him out. So first she goes in there, and she speaks to King David. It goes, David, didn't you tell me that my son, our son, Solomon, is going to be the king of Israel to succeed you? And then also you have the Nasan, the prophet Nasan, coming in to the King David, who is, elderly at the time, and saying, excuse me, but what do you think Adoniah is doing down there? He has his whole coronation down in the valley. Go look for yourself. What is he doing? And King David at the end of this Haftarah, he looks at Nathan, he looks at Bathsheba. By the way, Bathsheba, some people think it's Bat, the daughter of Sheva, of 7 years old, whatever. It's Bat Shvuah, or there's Elisheva, Bathsheba. All these names is with the Shvuah, that the people made a covenant, a promise with God. So anyways, what happens is King David says, I gave you my word and I promise, as I am the king of Israel, that your son Bathsheba, my son, is going to be the king to succeed me, King Solomon. So that's what this week's Haftarah is about, with some interesting tidbits. Mind you, the king was not dead. Kings were appointed after the death of their fathers, so here's an unusual circumstance. There you go. Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy the Haftarah for Chayei Sarah.